difficult for them to find good value until multiple Neckers hit the board, because at this point units get very beefy and there's quite the strength gap between them. So it's going to be intriguing to see how Shaggy decides to sequence this. But I think there's nothing wrong with a Commander's Horn here.
Nothing wrong with Commander's Horn, really, ever. When you can get the value out of it, it's pretty good. 26-point play, John Natalis into Commander's Horn, one of the strongest plays from a gold card in Gwent right now, as the Vran Warrior has started to snack down on the Neckers beginning the cycle. So we already saw 9 strength go into that Vran and pop out a 10 strength Necker from the deck, and there's still more to come as the Necker Warrior is going to come down, but it's just generating those base copies.
Yes,
so is there going to be enough strength on Tailbot's end to get out of this round here?
I think Shaggy has a lot of power, but this deck is acceptably strong. It's the ability, its proactive potential is unlimited, really. Like these Neckers are just so strong, especially when you copy multiple of them. But the thing about Necker Wars, as you said, is that their true potential is reached when they're played in round 1. Because Tailbot was not able to draw into Necker. That's the thing. This deck is extremely reliant on that. You need to draw that bronze unit. Otherwise, your game plan has to change completely. And it's going to be interesting to see if Tailbot is able to generate enough strength with these consume chains, while Shaggy still has Henselt and Dijkstra left. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about a greedy deck. Tailbot's counting on having those synergies build up in round 1, getting a good draw, and getting that giant pack of Ogroids in the deck and getting things started. But that really didn't get started here. Henselt is going to be able to grab one extra siege tower here. Yeah. Great
it's
play.
A pretty, it's not the best. It's not the best Henselt because it only gets 1 unit, but it's still a 17-point play here from a leader, which is not too bad.
That also gives you a crewman pocket, which is very important for a deck like this, as we see Regis hit down right after the. That's a really good consumption, by the way. Dijkstra could become very weak because of that. Oof, it's going to be interesting because if he pulls a Necker, Dijkstra could actually provide very little value here.
Actually, Shaggy didn't set up the pocket, really. I mean, he set up the pocket for the siege tower. But,
well, yeah, he set it up for the siege tower.
It's better to do that.
Yeah, but he has like another.
Not going to get this.
He has another crewman, basically. Yeah. Hovering over the Dijkstra right there, debating. I think he preserved the ballistas for the very end so they can gain the most potential value. Blocking the consumption, brilliant.
Yep.
Just excellent placement right there.
Spin me a tune, DJ. So he's not going to get double kid when he's Sergeant, which is good. He's going to get at least decent value out of the reinforced ballista here. He did grab one.
Sergeant, and he has another crewman right there. Very nice pulls. It could have gone much worse than this. It could have been much worse than this. If you pulled the Reaver Scout first, for example, you would have had no target whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And also the Necker would have been very bad too, so not bad, not bad. That was a good DJ.
Yeah, a single Reaver Scout in the deck for Shaggy. Like we said, no Dunban or Heavy Cavalry, no Villain Trettenmirth, no Scorching. This is a Henselt list that's more focused on just really building up a lot of strength through machines, siege towers, ballista, reinforced ballista. Getting that extra crewman bookend or pocket is great for the ballista, just for those extra shots. There is a lineup here. I mean, the 12s are lined up for the Neckers. So
but also the 7s too, but he's going to go for the 12s. I like this. Or no, I think he's going to work for that. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, that's why he damaged that first. Yep.
He'll be burning them down a little bit more because now the 4s are lined up for the second ballista. The Siege Master will be able to replay, and now, of course, we have the Neckers coming down at 6. So there is a lot of power here. Shaggy has a pretty healthy lead here, 23 points needed to take it. Now, we know Tailbot has 20 points in the Monster Nest, and the Slizzard, I mean, what is the Slizzard looking at right now? All the Vrans are out. The Necker Warrior is really the only thing that the Slizzards can source, so the Slizzard's looking like just like a 10-point bronze at this point.
Yeah, it's looking at a 10-point bronze. It seems like Tailbot has 30 more points, while Shaggy still has quite the swings available to him. He would probably play the Siege Master now, and then afterwards the Ballista, but he passed at the right time. He made sure that he didn't give Tailbot the chance to abuse his carryover, and we're seeing, the results of that. The results of good decision making, as that is a huge goal, which is actually 22 points. Sorry, not 20, due to the buff to the Neckers as well.
Yeah,
but
that's exactly what he needed to tie it up here.
But Siege Master's going to hit the board now to create another pair of crewmen. Though I think it would be better to place it right next to the Sergeant because it is the most resilient of the crewmen, but it doesn't ultimately matter as much. And here we go. The Ballista hits 3 times, dropping everything down to 1, and that is such a good gap for Tailbot. It seems like this is Shaggy's game. Slizzer goes down, going for the last target. Does he have one more Necker available?
He
in his
would,
deck?
but I think it would still be only 7 because it's the base copy. That would maybe 7 or 8. We're just getting started if you're just joining us. We're in the first match of the quarterfinals. Shaggy just takes it right now with Henselt able to defeat Tailbot's Unseen Elder, which means that Henselt is now off the roster for Shaggy. Unseen Elder will have to break through for Tailbot. And that was pretty good. And it's funny, it kind of mirrored little shades of the end of Challenger #1 as we saw a gigantic Vran on the board at the end there.
Yeah. It reminds you of the good old closed beta Dagon days, am I right?
Yeah, seriously, just like 60+ point Vrans all the time. But you know, it was very old school. I think that with the changes of Necker Warrior coming in a little bit later into the public beta cycle, we saw a little bit of a resurgence of Unseen Elder, and it wasn't until one of the most recent Gwent Opens that we had even seen Unseen Elder in a tournament. Now Unseen Elder, the most represented monster leader in Challenger and also in Gwent Slam and also Gwent Open. So it's funny how things change from a leader that was very, very underrated to, you know, just little things. Slizzard was a huge card, huge card for Unseen Elder. Just little changes like that made it a very competitive deck right now, and we saw Tailbot unfortunately get burned by draws a little bit, wasn't able to set up that greediness.
It's going to be very interesting to see, but Shaggy's Unseen Elder is completely different, and you guys may think, how is it different? Most of them, you know, have the same lineup, the same structure. Some are greedier, some are not. I may spoil it here. Let's just say Shaggy. Well, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
I won't
see when Shaggy brings
I'm
it
just
in.
very excited about this deck.
Gonter, get away from that. That is not yours.
Lower or higher than 5, McBeer? That's the question.
Ask Freddy what he thinks.
Poor Freddy.
Pal, good guy, Pal, getting a little bit more water for Tailbot as Tailbot needs to collect himself here. He's gonna.
Good guy. He's from Scoia'tael. He's not a good guy.
Oh, poor Scoia'tael in this Challenger. We will see a little bit, but not a lot.
I'm not sad.
No, you're not that sad?
No.
Scoia'tael has had its time.
Exactly.
Players are getting ready here for game 2, making sure that the coin flip is properly flipped.
Now, I expect Shaggy to... It's interesting because his last 2 remaining decks are both... they don't care as much about going first or second as the other ones, right? He has Unseen Elder and Croc on Crate. Both decks can have a very powerful late game if they manage to really bleed the opponent out in round 2. And it's going to be very interesting to see. Now, will Tailbot go with Unseen Elder again, or will we try to take the same approach Shaggy did and lead off with Henselt now, knowing that he's going to go first or second as the other ones, right? He has Unseen Elder and Croc on Crate.
In this situation,
both decks can have a very powerful...
his Unseen Elder list is a little bit, well, I mean, many decks are stronger on the red coin, of course.
Oh, no, you may be right. Yeah,
but, I mean, we're talking about decks that don't care as much. King Brand, sorry, Croc on Crate in this situation.
Here we go.
And there is
you're right. You're correct. Croc on Crate versus Henselt. We see the done Banner-like cavalry. Now, both players may be running Henselt, but Tailbot's list is quite different. It is a more reactive control variant with not only Villain to Torment, as you can see in the opening hand right there, but also Scorch. Double fire. So it's very interesting because it also has Althor's Double Cross into Talar with the done Banner-like cavalry and no John. So it's a very different build. It's going to be a very intriguing matchup for me. Now this deck is just, I am so excited for this. This is Croc on Crate. Shaggy was super dominant with his greatsword, but it is different from the previous one. You may not see in his opening hand, but he is running Vesemir with Mandrake to counter muzzle and also strengthen the greatsword for round 3. You heard me right, ladies and gentlemen. Vesemir is in this deck, and I'm just so excited. You can see the opening hand right there. This is one of my favorite decks to watch lately.
I like the Vesemir Mandrake combo. You can do a lot of fun stuff with it, and this is definitely a situation where you're creating really threatening targets that are coming out of the graveyard in round 3, and you're having a devastating long round. Of course, Shaggy is exactly what Shaggy wants. He is up against Henselt, which is also functions very well in a long round. And like you said, Tailbot's list is running Villain Trentworth and Scorch, a tacticless deck. Of course, Blue Dream is also on call for Tailbot in this situation. This is the only deck that Tailbot brought that did not have Muzzle, but of course it has Blue Dream, so it kind of does have Muzzle.
What? Not in this case, though.
No, not in this case because
stop earlier because I said about the reinforced C-Star, but he has another one in hand, so he can't go for that play. I missed that right there. Yeah, he does have Margarita. That is the only way for him to lock and prevent the Greatsword from growing more. As we're going to see a Freya into a Battle Maiden onto the Greatsword to damage it and search for a second Greatsword. Going to place it right next to the ship. And also going to, like I said, damage the Greatsword so that it will get buffed. And I think that's where we're going to see Margarita go down eventually.
Tailbot Spy.
Or the ship. Okay. I like that better. I like that better. Yeah, that makes more sense. He already has a Greatsword in hand.
Yeah,
Good boy, Shaggy.
Two considerations there for sure. Sure, you could have taken the Greatsword or the ship in this situation, but Taller was blocking that synergy between the ship and the Greatsword as it was then taking the hits. The ship, of course, damaging any unit on the right side, which is exactly what the Greatsword wants. Self-wounding Skellige with Greatsword has seen middling popularity on the ladder, but Shaggy's making it look pretty good here as he's searching for a nice long round in this that, he had to go first here, but that long round is very much in favor here as the Greatsword now hits 14 strength.
Now Shaggy's going to really look over his hand. He has several options here. He eventually has to play that Greatsword, but Borgwark Hunter is also a solid option for him, as Borgwark Hunter not only deals 4 damage upon entry with his deployability to an enemy, or to a unit yourself, he can also get strengthened every single time a unit right next to it gets damaged, which in a deck like this, which is all about self-damaging, it happens every single turn. But I think playing the Greatsword is smarter because it gets it out early. No, never mind. It seems like that placement because it needs 1 extra turn to actually get buffed. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is.
I think the Greatsword also could have been a fine consideration because you do have that ship, and that ship is working for the Greatsword. So having both Greatswords on just makes a lot more pressure. Shaggy's already had a great lead, would really put Tailbot in a tough situation. He would probably consider passing if the second Greatsword gets going and there's no way to really stop it. Margarita does reset and lock, but since this is strengthening, there is no real reset. That strength stays, that white number stays.
And look at that. I think it also has to do with the fact that did he do that because of the done better like cavalry?
And a gentleman.
He was at 20-point difference. Are you kidding? Did he do that? That's insane. If he did that, because that's ridiculous. He did it because he procs first. This guy's our god. This man's like, oh my lord.
You're killing me right now. And you're right. You are right. You are right. That the Dunbanner Heavy Light Cavalry is looking for a gap that is larger than 20 points.
21,
kept it right at 20 with that play.
The nerves are not getting to him. That's for sure. I had the pleasure of talking with Shaggy earlier. He always has 1 beer before the tournament to calm himself down and get his blood flowing, apparently. I don't know, but it really works. He's super, efficient. He's just, man.
You think he was able to get a beer?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He seemed pretty chill before the game.
Bar's not too far from
from
the playing area, so it's quite fun. You want to make the players comfortable. You want to make them feel at home. Get Shaggy a beer.
Give him 2. No, don't give him 2.
If he asks nicely. He's looking to earn a beer right now. He's already got 1 over Tailbot. No, that was good.
That's so good. God, that's incredible.
Because it's really tough for Hensel playing Dijkstra to have those Dunbanner Light Cavalry still in the deck because, they support you when you lose. When you fall too far behind, they get you back into the game. But if they're stuck in your deck, Dijkstra is pulling out really bad draws. And, we've seen that burn people in the past in tournaments as well. Good players like Shaggy doing everything they can to keep the gap big enough that they can keep a lead, but not so big that they get burned by the cavalry.
This may seem a rather obvious approach, but it's by no means, because Tailbot is running 25 cards and not, as you can see, Shaggy's Hensel does not have done better like cavalry. He just made sure that he did not fall into that possibility, and that just takes a lot of thinking, a lot of experience, and this shows why these are the best Gwent players in the world. Here we go. What's coming out? The Wallboard of the Sea or Papa Vesemir?
Papa Vesemir is I think,
the Wallboard of the V, but yeah, this makes more sense. It also mitigates the tempo swings. So he has to make sure that he's always, if Shaggy can prevent the done better like cavalry from spawning out of Tailbot's deck, that could be devastating for Tailbot because it will really hinder his draws, it will weaken the Dijkstra, and it will just really mess up his late game. So if Shaggy can keep up playing around that unit, which it seems like at this point he can, it's going to be really good for him. And
it's so good, and he can do that because the Greatsword has so much passive point generation from round to round. The Greatswords are growing slowly, but they're growing every turn. So Shaggy is able to keep up because he's able to generate those points.
Oh, excellent Siege Master.
Turn by turn.
Yeah.
But because he has cards like, the Young Berserker and cards like the Brockvar Hunter, which he can position in ways that, still get value, but still, 10-point bronze, it's pretty good, but you can get a lot more value out of that bronze card, especially when you're putting it next to the Greatsword. So it's like he has the option to really put the gas on if he needs to and set up an engine that can keep but that flexibility to slow things down and have a lot more control over this matchup right now.
Excellent timing by that reinforced ballista by Tailbot, being able to eliminate that second greatsword before it got buffed at the beginning of the turn, as he drops John Gafret, which does hit the greatsword, which is going to be able to proc. It's going to make it proc it again, and also capitalizing on the War of the Seas armor. So damaging it, taking one armor, which represents no strength, and buffing himself up as well. Shaggy's late game with the Resurrection could be very powerful, but he also needs to be careful to not play into villain, because villains are meant to in Tailbot the game regardless. So he needs to make it so that the round 3 is as short as can be.
Tailbot just checking that summoning circle to make sure that he knows exactly what unit that is summoning. At this point, it would be Genja.
Now, the thing here...
Margarita, stop and Wild Boar here.
Wait, I think that Scowl is a dead card right now.
Is that so?
Yeah, because he has a Raging Berserker in hand, and
there is only one. You are
correct. And he has Ulderic, because he's already played Ulderic too, so he has no more cursed units in his...
Well, no, he didn't Heimei the Greatsword. Does he not still have one more Greatsword still in his deck?
Is his Greatsword cursed? No, Greatsword's not cursed.
Greatsword's not cursed?
Yeah, he's a crazy soldier.
Gwent, Challenger number 2, my friends. Greatsword is not a cursed card. Yes, of course I knew that. Of course I knew that. Yeah, it's just the young Berserker, and that would be it. So
it's gonna limit his ability to. Oh, this is actually bad for Shaggy, because if Tailbot does take control of round 3, he can make it so that Viltrumeth, he can set up a perfect round from Viltrumeth, and I don't believe Shaggy has any answer for it, barring like an offensive Vesemir with Mandrake weakening it to 2, and then following it up with like 2 hits from Hunters. Like it's like a very weird way to take it down. Like it's very precise. I don't think Shaggy can ultimately deal with Viltrumeth, and that could very well be his downfall.
Shaggy's a card up at this point, which is pretty good though.
Yeah. He's pretty good, but his opponent has played Towler, so there's no spy for him, but we could see an open pass. He does draw into the Bennett Light Cavalry, but he's able to blacklist it and gets the Blue Dream instead. Yep,
Young Berserker mulliganed away from Shaggy here, so Skjall is no longer dead, now pulling that Young Berserker. No Ronvid here, so Tailbot does not have a crewman set up. He has a pretty strong hand though, 4 gold cards and a summoning circle, so he can do stuff with Priestess of Freya perhaps. Easy play here by Shaggy, just play the lowest commitment thing, which would be that Greatsword, which just has no strength on it. Shaggy's got a lot of power in his hand though. Those Freyas are bringing back big Greatswords at this point. Sigurdrifa, of course, some pretty good silver cards in the graveyard as well. But man, that hand by Tailbot is not bad.
He cannot take down Viltrumeth. He lacks the neither the Mandrake nor the Vesemir to pull it out. As he was not going to risk mulliganing there because he was fearing making Scowl a dead card again, as if he draws into Raging Berserker once more, that card would be just a 5-point silver, which would be very devastating for him. So definitely the play that he had to go for there. Sigurdrifa is representing a lot of points, resing the Jonga Fret, capitalizing on the Raging Berserker and the Greatsword. He has a lot of power here, but the thing is he has to avoid Tailbot from getting the upper hand on him with that big gold dragon. It's going to come down to that. It really is. Both hands are extremely powerful, but that Viltrumeth right there could just seal the deal right here, even though look at the power in Shaggy's graveyard, but all that power is stacked up on one unit. Well, 2, realistically speaking. And that could be a very big blow for Shaggy.
Yeah, Shaggy's in a tough spot. Villain Trentmirth will be able to burn down the largest unit on the board, which is likely going to be a huge Greatsword, because that Siege Tower, while it is going to be pretty big when it's played, that Greatsword is far, far bigger. Shaggy's also in a tough position here, because if he's putting Tailbot on having Henmarvin's Blue Dream, if he plays Coral, he's giving Coral. Offers you very creative ways to win. Of course, what I said about Coral, yes, Coral does need to be in the graveyard in that situation. I'm always thinking about Muzzle with Henmarvin's Blue Dream. I'm always thinking like, Muzzle is played, I'll counter it. Of course, if it's an actual unit, it does need to be in the graveyard for Blue Dream to source it.
Yep, and we're gonna see the ship enter. Now, the cool thing about the ship is that it's gonna be able to capitalize on this Greatsword, which is gonna get burnt down anyways, but this ship is gonna grow 2 points each. So it's gonna lead a total of 13 points at the end of this round, or 15 if my math is not right, because 3 turns. But then Tailbot still has 4 cards. What we're gonna see here, he's gonna play the Hunter after this to the right side of the Greatsword, and then he's gonna follow that up with potentially either Coral or Sigdrifa. It depends if he wants to play more. I mean, once Undramet, he'll probably try to preserve his reactive card in Coral for the very last moment, as we see an excellent use of Summoning Circle by Tailbot there, preserving that card. It was kind of clunky, but he found the best potential value out of it right there, playing a ship that is going to be hitting the sea and capitalizing on its armor as well. Well done, and he plays it to the light cavalry as he nods. He knew all this time, but at that point he just could not avoid it. And
that makes Dijkstra a lot better here. That's just much better for Tailbot.
That sealed the deal for him, I think.
Here comes Villain Tretmirth here. I mean,
Rip.
Oh, and now with the ship going above 10.
That is way too much. This John Gaffrey is going to be very powerful. Going to be able to capitalize on the Clown and Clay Greatsword and the Raging Berserker to buff up the Vorkmark Hunter. Yep. Even though it's locked, it still buffs up the Vorkmark Hunter by 2. And this Coral is also going to be potentially very strong, being able to deny the ship value as well. But he's got the DJ, he's got the tower, and that Undramet is gonna proc and the Greatsword. That's devastating. The fact that he played into that light cavalry at the very end is devastating for Shaggy. That
19 points on Shaggy's board are no longer his at this point. It's really going to be, you know, as many of these games with Henselt and Northern Realms are concerned, what Dijkstra, known as DJ Dijkstra, what tune he's going to be spinning for us this time. The 6 cards left in Tailbot's deck. So if it's going to be enough, because Shaggy does have a fair lead, you know, losing the Greatsword, he still has like a huge ship, Genjifred. Things are still growing right now with the Brockbar Hunter. Coral is going to net him a pretty decent amount of value, going to be shrinking down that 13-point ship. Dijkstra is going to tell the tale.
Yep, it's going to come down to the DJ himself.
It's not really close, too. It's like such a huge gap. 23 points of Shaggy's not actually there. Here comes DJ. Let's see what's going on.
There goes the Ballista. This Ballista's going to get some very decent value, actually. He does have, he doesn't have a crewman slot.
3's into the 1? No, 5's into the 4, yeah.
Yeah, you hit the Raging Berserker. Well, if you hit the Raging Berserker, you buff up the Hunter, though.
It's true, yeah. The Hunter is actually kind of protecting a little bit of value here.
Perhaps not the best targeting.
It's hard not to take it.
Well, but then of course you do hit the Coral as well.
And there's the Scorch, the other card from Dijkstra, and that means Villain Tretmirth is going to hit.
Oh man,
double fire! Oh man, that Scorch!
Tailbot taking it with that clutch victory. The Done Better Light Cavalry. It came down to that. It came down to Shaggy playing into it at the very end. But I'm not sure if he was able to avoid it at that point. Excellent play by Tailbot, but also excellent performance by Shaggy. This matchup already living up to the hype. What an excellent way to start things off with.
That Scorch was like the best thing he could have drawn in that situation. The Ballista was okay.
Yeah.
And the Ballista actually was even a little bit of a liability there.
It was 8 points. Yeah. It wasn't good at all, honestly, but that Scorch really sealed the deal. But I think it really came down to that. It came down to the Don Banner like Cavalry being able to come out of the deck at the very last portion of that match. So it is 1-1. No reverse sweep for Tailbot needed, as we're going to see what they go with now. Now the thing is, one very important thing to know is that Tailbot has not seen Vesemir nor Mandrake from Shaggy, so the surprise factor is still present there.
Yeah, a couple more tricks up Shaggy's sleeve right here. You know, it's true. Shaggy was playing around Den Banner Light Cavalry that whole game. He deserves a little bit better for that, but it just got into a position where it just wasn't quite possible to avoid it there. Otherwise, you just sacrifice too much and you lose for, you know, other reasons where you just can't get those points. So we're going to go into Game 3 here. Both of these players now with 1 win under their belt, and on the red coin here, Shaggy might move over to his Unseen Elder list, and we can see, you know, what stuff he has in store for his monster list, which is a little bit different from everybody else's.
I think we're definitely going to expect the Unseen Elder list. You guys will understand what we're talking about as you see it. It is a very, very, very unique list compared to what you technically see with this leader, so it's going to be very intriguing to see how this deck actually functions. I mean, Shaggy has explained me the details of his build, but, you know, it's one thing to hear it and another thing to see it in action, and I'm so pumped for that.
Shaggy sporting one of those new Gwent Challenger coats. Nice silver crown on the front, nice silver shield and crest on the back. All players received the Gwent Challenger coats, just like they did in the last Gwent Challenger. A little bit of new swag for the players here as we're getting into Game 3 here.
Monster Mirror.
Monster Mirror.
This is a very fascinating matchup right here. So now I can finally, talk a little bit about this deck. This deck does not run Neckers, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about Shaggy's build. We have seen Tailbot's Unseen Elder in round 1, and these two decks are very different. Shaggy's deck also relies heavily on carryover, but with a very different approach. It is a swarm consume deck, and it basically relies on setting up, basically getting a good win in round 1, like an early win with a huge tempo swing, and then bleeding the hell out of the opponent in round 2 and overwhelming them with your carryover. And believe it or not, we see the open pass from Tailbot. That's huge for him.
So huge.
That's so huge.
Shaggy needed round 1 with this deck, guys. Shaggy needed so bad with this deck. He just gets a gift from Tailbot.
I was just going to say, it's going to come down to this round 1, and he immediately passes. He's going to regret this, man.
Well, I mean, we'll have to see how this plays out, but I think this is exactly what Shaggy wants, and he's fine just playing an Ekamar here just for a little bit of resilience. But he's got he can just push and push. Okay. He creates a ton of carryover, a lot of extra bodies. Yennefer's going to get a lot of work, and we haven't even seen a little bit of the secret sauce here. Earth Elemental's also in Shaggy's deck, and if he can draw Iris, this will be perfect.
That's the key card, Iris.
Gross draw.
Double draw right there into Heartbeat, which is unfortunate, but he can afford to. That's rough.
Shaggy. Not fair, my friend.
But still, he does have Royal Decree into Gels, which does have a very nice chance of pulling Iris. And the key with this deck is to try to bleed the hell out of your opponent in round 2, and set up an Iris so that when round 3 occurs, all your carryover, because of Iris' Death Wish, just for that, but it's going to come down to a 50-50, I think, with Commander's Horn. Wait, he's going for it now?
It's interesting.
Oh, for the Will and Spirit instead.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's not running Gels. I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. I mistook that. Yeah, mistake.
Yeah, we're looking at 2 deck lists, of course. Gels is in Tailbot's list here, so he's going to go for the Will and Spirit. Again, Shaggy's trying to get a nice, healthy lead pass at this point because his draws were really unfortunate. Drawing that Crone and double Harpies mulliganing into the Crone is so bad, especially if Shaggy wants to really assert a lot of dominance in this round. His hands are tied a little bit, but his deck still has a lot of power, and of course he is in the driver's seat. He is able to at least use Unseen Elder right now to source the remaining 2 Harpies that are in the deck. He does have 1 in hand, unfortunately, so perhaps eating an egg for a little bit of extra points, of course sacrificing a little bit of carryover there, but I think as far as tempos, for the sake of tempo here, that may be the play here. Unseen Elder could be it, and playing the Harpy from hand, hoping to mulligan the Crone for getting at the end for the beginning of round 3, and then he'd be able to play the Crones for a pretty healthy round 3 play. But ultimately, Shaggy wanted to play those Crones
to focus on thinning his deck as much as possible before he goes for the Frightener, so he has a good chance of drawing into Iris. If he can draw into Iris, this deck actually has the potential to overcome regular Unseen Elder Necker carryover, which is quite crazy to say, but it is actually that. So, and also, Shaggy could potentially threaten with the 2-0 as well, because this Yennefer is looking to be extremely powerful, especially if Tailbot keeps consuming his own units and reducing the amount of creatures on his board. So I'm just so fascinated by this matchup, and I just want to see it play out, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this list a Seleno Harpy from the deck, also having another Seleno Harpy in hand.
You play Harpy now, right? To kill the cow. Sorry for.
No, I mean, that's fine. It does kill the cow for sure. And of course, creating a lot of bodies for Yennefer, exactly. Like, Tailbot, his game is bringing down the units, and Shaggy's trying to swarm out here. So, he's going to go for the Frightener. Now, he can definitely afford it, 42-19.
Okay, he wants to deny the carryover, but no, he gets punished.
That's so bad. No, Shaggy is trying to hide his emotions a little bit, but you can see on the face cam, he just did a little bit of a face palm. That is so disgusting.
I don't think that was worth the risk. I think you should have tried to thin a little bit more and play the Crones first. Yes, you kind of play around the Rand Warrior consuming, but I just don't think that was worth it. I think that was super risky, and he definitely got punished for that.
It makes the 2-0 even harder now, too, because he's got just vanilla silvers. The Crones like to pull themselves out of the deck when they're all in your hand. Nothing's going anywhere. Is he going to show them, though? Is he going to show them? He shows 1 Crone. Tailbot might just smell blood right there. I think that he's got this one.
We'll see, because Shaggy may opt to change his game plan around, because he does run 1 Wall Hunt Warrior to proc Iris himself. So he may end up building a little bit earlier this round and try to go for a round 3 in which he utilizes his Storm advantage with Jennifer to win. But at this point, do you go back? Like, the problem is those triple crones, man. That's just so awful.
There's no way to save it. You mulligan one away. You still have double crones in your hand, which is not great. I mean, it's obviously better. But, I mean, it really hurts the opportunity to 2-0 here. He was looking for Iris or even an Earth Elemental, or even though he has a single Wild Hunt Warrior in the deck as well. He has Succubus, is interestingly one of the golds that also is being run by Shaggy. Commander's Horn would have also been fantastic, and he just had to get that third crone.
Yeah,
absolutely
that's
disgusting.
The risk. That's the risk. But also, Tailbot not completely lucky himself. We do see Roach in his hand as well, so that is also a dead card from him. This makes things very interesting because Slizzers could become a little bit as well if he doesn't get the proper consumptions going on. This round, you know, it's triple crone looks horrible, and also the heartbeat, but it could not be as clear. We'll see. Shaggy really debating what to do here. He's really thinking about going into a longer round 3 and just trying to win with the Yennefer. But even so, he still has Harpy and the crones. Like, he only gets to replace one of the crones, the Ekimaras. Like, he has to play the Ekimaras now. He actually, right? Like,
there's no repairing his hand. Like, it's going to be bad forever, basically.
Yeah.
In this situation.
Forever.
I mean, and you see, you got Tailbot with Roach in hand, and we've seen Tailbot with he didn't draw any Neckers or Necker Warriors in the first round. Got Shaggy with triple crones, and he's got a Harpy in his hand. I mean, you could just call this a study of monsters in Gwent, and what this, like, how bad draws can actually get for monsters. If you play a game, you're trying to roll a little bit high, you know, because if everything goes your way with these decks, they are devastatingly strong. But when things don't go your way, it's very frustrating, and Shaggy probably just a little bit frustrated on how this is panning out.
Shaggy's still very concentrated, though. Definitely not giving up in this scenario, as we see the Slizzard drop down the first of the two. Gonna get one of the Necker Warriors out of the deck, and gonna get even more base copies of Neckers early on. This is very dangerous for Shaggy. This is where his carryover is starting to be extremely threatening, and the chances of a 2-0 here seem really awkward. Double represents solid carryover potential, but I don't know compared to that. Okay, this Jennifer timing is very interesting, actually.
I mean, it's probably the best it's going to get at this point. Shaggy's not really, he's played all his multiple body units. Crones aren't an option at this point, so, you know, he's going to get as much value out of Yennefer as he can. Like, the points were getting a little bit too close for comfort, I think, for Shaggy. Tailbot had the ability to overtake in the next play if that wasn't the play, or pass in that situation.
That gives a 29-point lead for Shaggy right now. That's crazy.
And the Ekamaras are pretty strong plays now. With a lead like this, you can probably safely play the Ekamara and still stay ahead at least for one turn, possibly two.
Yeah, it's still... What is he going to do with his hand?
This is just like a monsters game. It's so monsters, right? The draws, and we saw, if you watch Gwent Slam #3, both of these players kind of suffered with monsters, and both still taking a chance, bringing a deck like this to the tournament. And anything can happen in any given game. Sometimes things go your way, sometimes it's a little bit tougher. So both players trying to find a way to win here.
Now, will Shaggy notice the fact that he has Roach in hand, because he has played a gold card in Gels, and he hasn't spawned Roach out of the deck. So Shaggy has seen Roach in the first match. So that's very valuable information, and it's interesting to see if he has noticed that. But solid play there by Tailbot, going for a very high tempo play to really discourage his opponent from getting a good solid pass on him. As more construction is happening, another Heartbeat gets out of the deck, and it is only a 20-point lead for Shaggy. It still doesn't feel that great, because that's definitely something you can definitely overcome, I feel.
The rest of the cards in Shaggy's hand right now are cards that are just the Ekamara into the egg is obviously the best play, but from there on, the Harpy represents 4 points. Each crone represents the number you see, 6, 6, and 8. That is not going to be enough to stay ahead. No 2-0 opportunity here, and going into round 3, it's just not going to be. There's not going to be very much Shaggy can do. So, like, even if he was able to get a card up, it's still not going to be enough, because the cards he have are so low value.
It's tough. It's tough, and especially with this second Brand Warrior hitting the board, that really closes the gap. And this carryover is looking very scary. But these Neckers are not as big as the other ones, so but he has 2 engines going on here. Like, this may encourage Shaggy to pass, but then again, like I said, his hand is...
Yeah. I mean, if Shaggy plays the Ekamara here, is he afforded enough points here? I mean, Unseen Elder is... I mean, well, if he cycles the Necker, that would definitely be enough to overtake. But I mean, Tailbot can't possibly put Shaggy on a hand this bad. He hasn't seen, I mean, he doesn't.
Easy. Just look at this, man. It's just.
I have a very interesting proposition for Shaggy here. What if he thinks that he has no chance in winning this game, not showing Crones, not showing Iris, not showing Earth Elementals, not showing Succubus, not showing a lot of really strong surprise cards, could you make the case that Shaggy actually doesn't show those cards and concedes the game?
Well, if he knows 100% that he cannot defeat him, then yes. He is one card over his opponent. But
with those cards, just, you know, vanilla silvers, incredibly low value silvers.
And all Tailbot has to do is replace Malignant Awakening, and he'll be good to go. So we're going to see what kind of draws Shaggy gets. Shaggy needs like the greatest draws ever.
I mean, look at this carryover he already has to compete with. I think you could make the case to do that. There's the Earth Elemental. And
he at least he needs to mulligan away the heart, because it is the weakest one, and this is just not. I think a forfeit here is definitely justified.
I think if you wanted to keep if you wanted to keep a lot of very interesting facets of this deck secret for the next time you have to play it, now is maybe the time. He's looking at his cards. He's like, how many points can I actually get here? This
feels so awful, man. Like when he drew that second Crone, but then again, he could have avoided that in a way. You know, he could have tried to thin his deck a little bit more, but he was already in a very awkward position. But drawing that third Crone was absolutely devastating. It really took a hold from him as he goes for the Manticore and draws into Operator, which is probably what he will consume at this point. Yeah, I think Operator is going to go down here, or because it represents less value than Necker Warrior, really.
Yeah, I mean, operating a Necker Warrior is, I mean, it's not really the greatest.
His back is against the wall now, though.
Yeah.
Tailbot does have knowledge from both of his decks, and Shaggy cannot afford to lose one more match. Tailbot with the victory, going 2-1 against Shaggy, and it's going to come down to this. Tailbot does have his King Brand left. Can Shaggy overcome King Brand twice? Or will Tailbot advance to the semifinals? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Sorry.
Well played. The Bard's getting ready. He's tuning his lute.
He looks sad.
Poor guy. Well, I mean, he probably saw Shaggy's hand. It's very depressing.
Yeah, it is.
But you know, this is going to be really interesting here. Tailbot's got a great deck for going first, you know, as you have to go first for some of these games, guaranteed. So he's going to lead off with Bran here, and Shaggy is, oh, you know what? I take that back, actually. Tailbot's going second in this situation, I believe.
Yeah, Tailbot's going second. This is actually, like, Tailbot being able to get the win third game puts him in a rather strong position. Even though King Bran cares a little bit less about going first or second, it still benefits from going second like any deck in the game, right? But in this case, it's going to be interesting to see what option Shaggy opts to go with. I think we may see Croc here. I think he may opt to go with Croc, but it's going to be interesting because with his Croc deck, he does have Coral, and also Vesemir can be utilized to banish Ceres away. No, not if it gets buffed by King Brand, though. It's hard to tell. I think he needs to preserve this Unseen Elder list for when he goes second, for the last potential match. So I definitely expect Croc and Crate here.
A lot of great characters hanging around the palace here today from Nilfgaard's deep in Emir's winter home here, as it is themed. Gontro Dim, obviously a Witcher 2 fan, waiting for the standalone dice poker game. He's like, Gwent first? What's going on here?
It's going to be super, super interesting.
We're going to see what the players are going to be taking into this fourth game here. Tailbot up 2-1. Shaggy, exactly as you said, up against the wall here, match point for Tailbot.
Tailbot is really close to getting that semifinal spot, while Shaggy is really debating what to go with here.
I mean, if Shaggy believes in his monster deck, he may consider going in again right now.
Here we go. It is a Skellige Mirror. It is a Skellige Mirror, and this time we see Vesemir in his hand and Mandrake as well. So we know a very one of the mulligans is going to happen here. The thing is, will he opt to blacklist before doing so? And he is going to blacklist the Light Longship, a Priest of Freya. That's a little bit risky though, but he's going to go for that, and then the Mandrake as well.
Does he have young? No, he does. Does he have the Young Berserker in hand? I didn't.
No, he doesn't have the Raging Berserker.
He doesn't. Okay, so Skjald's active, Vesemir is active.
Oh, but the problem is no Greatsword.
No Greatsword is a problem.
And his Croc will pull Jenga.
That is a problem. That is a problem for Shaggy here.
He may have to resort to some. Oh man, that's actually rough. That's actually really rough. Not getting Greatsword nor Jenga.
Open pass, perhaps, as the cursor gets slowly closer.
We'll see. We'll see
Open
about
pass,
that.
perhaps Udalryk opening.
Udalryk is also so risky, man.
It's super risky.
He's running Mandrake, so if he does pull Mandrake, he's gonna have to be forced to draw and discard anything else, but he may be forced to just lead off with the spy, honestly. Shaggy really debating here.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have to go for that.
It's, you know, you gotta take some risks in this game. Shaggy's taken a few already.
Oh boy.
No Mandrake.
YOLO, you only live once!
Oh,
there it is!
Got it! He got it!
There it is!
Long ship in the graveyard as well for the Priestess of Freya, so all of his cards were active and ready to go. This is going to be a good round one for Shaggy. It's going to be as good as he can hope for. Tailbot going to lead off. Brand, now we're seeing Tailbot's Brand discard here. There's Muzzle, of course. You know Tailbot loves Muzzle. Geralt Igni with the Harpooner is also a single Lacerate in this deck. All about movement and punishing rows, either by showing Harpooner, making your opponent stack for you for stuff like Igni and Lacerate, or just creating that roach.
Shaggy can capitalize on it and buff it with a Mandrake and prevent Muzzle from getting the full value, which you could argue is what he's going to do, because he plays Greatsword now. He follows that up with a Longship, right? That Longship hits it, drops it down to 6. Afterwards, it gets buffed up to 9. So Tailbot can wait for the Longship to hit it again and drop it down to 8 while it's damaged and steals. So he gets a bigger swing, and Shaggy can actually punish that because he did not reveal Vesemir in the prior match, and it may come down to that, or Tailbot may go with Muzzle immediately. That's gonna be probably what dictates this match, really. It may come down to this moment right here.
No disagreement from me on that one. It is, he's not going for the Muzzle.
He's not going for the Muzzle, I'm telling you. He's being patient. He hasn't seen Vesemir. He has not seen Vesemir.
Yeah, I mean, with exactly the line of play, that's exactly how it would play out. Again, yeah, Shaggy keeping his secret sauce a secret until it's going to help him win the game.
He's gonna go for the lunch
just
now.
Gonna go down here. 6, okay. Now Tailbot again.
Now, will Muzzle happen now? Oh my God, I'm on the edge of my seat right here.
It's true. I'm looking at you. You're on the edge of your seat, literally. We are just we're both just sitting on our hands here, just watching these games. These games are already. I am not disappointed. So
the Jenga and the Wallboard, that's actually huge. The fact that Tailbot targeted the ship is so good for Shaggy. Yeah. If he had targeted the Greatsword, it could have been the end for them there.
Remember, Freya has the light long ship in the graveyard as well, so there's still a lot of opportunities for Shaggy to build a little bit of an engine here. Tailbot's got a huge lead at this point, though.
But the Croc on Crate into Jenga is a tremendous power swing, so he'll definitely be able to make up for that.
Igni may actually tell the tale of this matchup here if he's able to annihilate a huge or annihilate, I should say, a huge Greatsword.
Ah, cheeky Shaggy. He's trying to eliminate that Longship before it grows even further. Even though he does have Coral, he can also preserve Coral for something else. Right now he is 14 points behind. It's definitely a gap that Shaggy can overcome with his leader's ability. That's the thing. This deck does have a little bit of a slow start, but because of Croc, he can make that huge tempo swing and catch up to, you know, a rather fast strategy. Even though in this case, King Brand is not the most fast starter as well, but the fact that he gave him 12 points to start the match with that spy, reverse the coin flip basically, definitely put him in that spot. But Shaggy can catch up, and the battle made him damaging the Greatsword as well. So it's nice. Shaggy able to bypass that, you know, very tense moment. Card out of Shaggy. Otherwise, even though you're generating a tremendous resurrection, in round 3, being down 1 card against your opponent when your strategy also revolves around carryover can be very dangerous. So this is the key for Shaggy. We're going to see what he's going to... he's obviously going to mulligan away that Mandrake right there.
He's going to have to, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, this is a decent position. It's kind of what Shaggy wants right now. He's in control of the round. He's in control of the round. Of course, Tailbot has, you know, a pretty decent hand for Igni. 3 Harpooners, able to create really any row he wants here. Shaggy is just going to be, you know, he does have to go against the carryover, so there's no chance for an open pass. Shaggy's just going to maybe try to set up an engine, get those great swords just a little bit bigger, just for just maybe that last, like, short round 3 res to close things off.
The thing is, Tailbot does have not 1, not 2, but 3 Whale Harpooners, which means he can really disrupt the positioning of the units
no insult.
and make this engine a lot slower. So that's definitely going to be good for him, while also providing him with proper swings there.
Yeah, Shaggy's got to bleed in this situation. I mean, like, the cards the Tailbot is able to comfortably keep in his hand, though, are pretty huge, though. Restore Sigurdrifa. Igni is best used with the Harpooners, so if the Harpooners come out, it could be, you know, if the Harpooners come out and Igni doesn't actually get any value in that round, it's tough, right? Tailbot has to win this round, so he's going to go to any length to do that. Igni's going to help him do that because he should have no problem creating a row for Igni with those Harpooners, and then he can ultimately just save all of his resurrections for later. Although he does have options here either way from the Freyas and the stuff he can source in the graveyard, like the Armorsmith and the Warmongers.
War at last!
War by below!
He does have all Raiders able to come out here, plus Ceres, of course, keeping things nice and comfortable here for Tailbot as Shaggy tries to get something going here.
Now, Shaggy has several options. Like, it would be smart to hit the Morkvarg, actually, with the Morkvarg Hunter to deny 1 proc on Ceres. And let's see if Shaggy can actually push hard enough for round 3. Round 3 in which Ceres is not able to come out. Even though we see 3 reses available for Tailbot, he has to basically take him to very deep waters in order for that to happen.
Well, I mean, Skelligamere is a great time for deep waters, I think.
Yeah.
Both players are not scared of those deep waters, but I'm wondering if there is an opportunity here for Shaggy to, like, how hard can Shaggy push here? With Coral, Vesemir, the Wild Boar of the Sea being able to develop just a little bit more engine capability, develop a lot of value over rounds. The Freya, of course, does have access to the Battle Maiden, which can also help as we take a look at the graveyards here.
Shaggy needs Sigurdrifa. Shaggy really needs Sigurdrifa for round 3. He needs to be able to draw into it. He definitely, I think in this round, you play pretty much everything. Like, you play almost everything barring your resurrections. Oh man, that ship right there. That could definitely be a good Coral target for him this round. Like, I could see him playing almost everything here. I would make an argument for going for Morkvarg Hunter, like I said, onto the Morkvarg to make it go resurrect again as a 1, and then it will be vanished in round 3, which means it will not proc. But then again, the earlier you play the ship, the better. And the Wild Boar or the Sea is going to come down and going to start strengthening the long ship to the left and damaging the Cloud & Click Restore to the right. The problem is triple Were Harpooner can definitely disrupt this.
Yeah, but the thing is, the way Tailbot's playing his Freya's first leads me to believe that he wanted to maybe hold on to the option to go Harpooner Igni in round 3, perhaps.
True.
But I mean, Shaggy's not going to let it get that way. He's trying to bleed him a little bit. He wants to see as many resources as possible. Probably fine seeing the Freya's here, but Sigurdrifa and Restore still represent a huge threat here, as Skellige gets a lot of its power from the graveyard, and Tailbot was stocked with 5 resurrection cards going into this round.
We see Tailbot hovering over the Whale Harpooner, but those are going to target either one of the ships. You don't want to target the Cloud & Click Sword is going to get hit regardless, either by the Whale Harpooner or by one of the 2 ships available. So he does move the Wild Boar of the Sea to the range row, and it's probably going to encourage Shaggy to play cards into that. He could play Scowl onto the left and drop the Raging Berserker onto the right of the ship.
It's not bad.
Or he could drop the Morkvarg Hunter as well, and like I said, hit Morkvarg to deny one of the reses from Ceres.
And he could also Freya the Great Sword, although he needs that res.
Yeah, he needs that res. That's like the one card that he can't play. Yeah, that's the one card he can't play. Oh, but he doesn't do that. So I guess he's just assuming that Ceres is going to happen regardless, or he's just truly trying to work for a short round in that. I don't know, is it worth it to go for points there? Because the reason you do that, you miss out on 3 points if you hit the Morkvarg, right? I mean, but you deny 1 proc.
Yeah, we see the lack of Warmongers here, so we know that the res procs for Ceres is just going to be in Morkvarg and Olgierd, or perhaps maybe a resurrected Warmonger in round 3. But Shaggy doesn't see that.
great Will Harpooner sequencing there by Tailbot, completely disrupting the game and also denying and making the wall brother C have negative value on him right there. As this really makes things awkward for Shaggy. As he's going to play Skull, yeah, he's going to play Skull to the left and Raging Berserker to the right to make sure that that wall brother C is providing him with good value.
That young Berserker is going to turn into a young bear, Raging Bear, yeah. Which is going to get a little bit of extra push going into the next turn here for Shaggy. Tailbot has to make some decisions here. Now he's expending some resources because if he doesn't take the opportunity to Igni here, which isn't a bad opportunity, he does get 16 points on top of Igni's 5-point body, plus denies potential engine opportunity for the rest of this round for Shaggy. I think Igni is a fine choice on the ranged row here.
Mm-hmm. He does have, we're definitely going to see Vesemir go down this round, and then Mandrake, potentially that. He's going to go for the Igni. He's going to take the Igni.
Not your lucky day.
Get this over with.
Those ships are going to burn.
Yeah,
burn the sails here. Going right to the graveyard. That's a pretty huge swing from Tailbot. Shaggy now, his bleed roll is a little bit less authoritative.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna perhaps, like, the thing is he could utilize the Priestess of Freya here to resurrect one of the ships and hit the Cloud and Clay Greysword, and then next turn play that. But then he really relies on drawing into reses, and he already needs Sigrifa. So yep. I don't think he can afford that Freya here. I don't think he can.
It would be just another risk that Shaggy's been making in a string of risky plays that has got him at least a game 4 here. He has taken a game here, and he has done, some pretty, I would say, a graceful loss in the third round, in the third match here. So, he is. This is a risk, right? Yeah, this is a huge risk playing.
He's gonna go for it. I think you go. I think
it's nothing but high commitment cards for Shaggy at this point.
I think you just gotta do it.
Is patient, but she brooks no insult.
No insult. Yep.
Something like that.
I kind of messed that up. I tried.
Bow before Modron Freya as the light longship comes down, just to create a little bit more pressure here for the Greatsword. Just trying to extend the round a little bit longer. Shaggy just needs to see more cards. He needs to see more cards. He knows that there's still a Freya and two, well, he can make the assumption that at least Sigurdrifa is in Tailbot's deck. But, when you look at standard list, Tailbot is a good player that plays good decks well. You look at the standard list for discard, Restore and Sigurdrifa are pretty standard. So you're trying to see cards like that. And it looks like Tailbot is going to just hold on to those 3 cards and play one more Harpooner, as now the Harpooner is, pretty good value, 5 units on the siege row. And but he's going to choose to just disrupt at this point because he has the points to afford really doing anything with that Harpooner.
Yep, he drops the Harpooner there, and now is the time you go for Vesemir into Mandrake onto the Cloud and Clay Greysword, and you strengthen it by 6, making it a 23-point res. The question is that enough? That's big, don't get me wrong, but Tailbot is going to be able to get that Ceres out, as Morkbark and Olgierd will proc them twice, unless he utilizes Vesemir offensively and denies the Olgierd. That could also be a thing.
He's going to go ahead and play that Vesemir, finally showing
gonna deny the Olgierd. Gonna deny the Olgierd.
Vaporize Olgierd. They say he's immortal, but he's not coming back this time.
Shaggy did not go for the power play onto the ship. He does have Coral, which would easily win him the round, and he has denied one of the plays there. But I still, Morkbark, if he had hit that Morkbark with the Hunter, he would have very easily denied it now. But now he's actually in a difficult spot, because even though Coral can go down here and win him the round, Tailbot's going to play a card regardless. He doesn't know he's going to risk it, and Ceres is still going to happen because the Restore here is going to enable him.
The mother goddess.
He's preserving that.
Shaggy needs a resurrection like he needs $1,000, and it may actually be worth $1,000 if he draws it.
Hovering over the Lacerate, which I think is not a bad idea at all, because it's not a card you want to draw in round 3. Yep, very smartly done there by Shaggy right there. Oh, sorry, by Tailbot. Tailbot performing really well, making very good decisions, and really capitalizing on the fact that Shaggy played his spy round 1, turn 1, and thus he knew with that pass that he would maintain card advantage. And because of his carryover, he's been able to deny that as well, as we're going to see a pass from Shaggy here. Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting. You commit Coral in the situation. If you commit Coral, you get 1 more card out of Tailbot, unless he hero passes, of course. Wait, what? What am I talking about? I forgot. Oh, no, yeah. Well, he would have to play, right? Oh, you forgot what I said. Take it back, take it back.
Now the question is, will he mulligan away? Will he mulligan away the coral here?
Oh, he got the Priestess of Freya.
That is
massive. He's looking for Sigurdrifa.
He has to fish for Sigurdrifa here.
Coral's
that is his only chance of winning.
Coral's a pretty good card, but I mean, it's something that Tailbot can anticipate.
You gotta
and
risk
play around it. He has the extra
card. You gotta risk it.
Risk it. For
you have to risk it. And he gets the clan battle maiden, which is not really. I mean,
bow before mortal
no,
Freya.
it's dead. It's a dead card. Is it a dead card? No, you
can you get a ship at least out of it?
The problem is Tailbot, because of his extensive thinning right there, has been able to draw into coral, so he's going to be able to deny this massive body, and Tailbot is going to take it, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be able to overcome Shaggy with a 3-2-1 victory, getting the win again against the number 3 player on the pro ladder, proving why he's number 2 and advancing to the semifinals. What an outstanding performance by Tailbot, and a big shout out to Shaggy for his lineup. Though that third game definitely was very devastating for him.
Series coming out of the grave here, just showing you how bad this is really for Shaggy. And there's the forfeit. That is going to do it. Tailbot's going to be advancing to the semifinals. We'll see him tomorrow as he's going to be taking on the winner of the next series coming right up, which is going to be a really good one. Of course, all of these handshakes from the opponents. GG, well played.
All right, for a serious grudge match coming from the last time these two faced off, the last Gwent tournament, it's a really rough end to watch there for Shaggy, but a great game run by Talbot. Personally, for me, the monster mashup, the mirror, I think was my favorite portion of it, and kind of the unpredictability of the deck that Shaggy was running. But such is the nature. It wasn't enough to get him to the end, unfortunately, but a really, really great game by Talbot, the entirety of that. Now, considering possible ideas and techniques and how these matches played out, I'm curious, Swim, what are your thoughts on how this first showdown of the tournament went?
Sometimes it comes down to the individual plays in Gwent, and other times it really comes down to the matchups and the broad strategies that these participants bring. I gotta say, in this case, it was mostly the latter, right? The individual plays were fantastic. I would say I really liked Shaggy's play where he reserved the Crones in his hand with the monsters, sign of a great tournament player. Yeah. However,
not revealing his secrets.
yeah, absolutely, and it's something that you don't really learn as a ladder player.
Yeah, definitely. Like I thought that was one of the key moments, like getting that pass. He knew he couldn't win. At that point, he knew he could not win, and not giving that information to him could really have made a difference. At the same time with Vesemir and Mandrake as well, like he didn't draw into it, right? But the fact that he didn't reveal it, that makes a whole lot of the difference, really.
Yeah, and there's one thing I'd like to point out about the Vesemir and Mandrake. I think probably the most pivotal game to that series was the second game, wherein Shaggy was playing the crack deck, Skellige, against Tailbot's Northern Realms deck. There's a couple plays there. You guys pointed out that the Skjall, of course, ended up being dead in the hand. But if you're paying attention, you'll notice that Shaggy actually intentionally took the Skjall into his hand just to allow the Battle Maiden into the graveyard, right? To res it with Freya, and that is just a habit of a great swords player, which Shaggy is. But one of the other pivotal things about that is, of course, the Wild Boar of the Sea play by Shaggy in round 1. Now, it's actually possible that that eventual Wild Boar of the Sea could have lost him the game, because you'll notice he took it from the Royal Decree, and if you don't take that Royal Decree, you might actually be able to use the Vesemir for the Mandrake, killing the villain Tredenmirth. Out of all the 4 games, that was absolutely the most pivotal of the set.
Yeah, it was. What a great set of games, man.
Yeah, great set. Thanks, Swim. Awesome analysis of that one. We're gonna get started on the. We're gonna get into the next matchup here. Merchant and Panda coming right up. And Matthew, what do we have coming up next?
With Tailbot, our winner of that first round of the tournament, Marisha. Go ahead and take it away, and let's see what kind of thought processes went through the mind of our winner of the first round.
Yes, I am so excited for you, Tailbot. Congratulations, by the way, and thank you for joining me here. Now, we saw you stay calm and cool and collected, and you were strong all the way through all of these matches. What is your secret?
I tried to not think about this tournament. Like I was trying to play just like I'm home and just relax. Don't think about the prize pool. Don't think about the whole tournament. Just focus on the game.
And try to have fun.
That's true.
I imagine being in a castle like this and in the tournament, it can be quite distracting if you're not careful. So that's pretty impressive. Now, of course, you and Shaggy faced off before. What did you learn last time that you guys went head-to-head that you knew you could use to your advantage this time?
Be aware of Avalach, but yeah, that's what I was expecting, but it didn't happen. So yeah, I was quite happy by that.
Does that mean you had all these other strategies that you didn't even need to utilize?
Yeah, like my main strategy is just outskill, so that's what I was trying to do.
Now, we ended up seeing 2 mirror matches this go around, which was so impressive to watch you pull through. Was that something you anticipated?
Not really. I just hate mirrors, but managed to win some, so I'm happy.
Well, congratulations, and I'm glad to see that the mirror matches didn't get you down. And I am so excited to see what you have tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. All right, guys, we have more Gwent coming up soon. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Thank you for that, Marisha. So, allow me to bring on our next pair of casters. They'll be helping us out through the next series of matches. You may know him as the man of the unforgettable voice. We have Merchant, followed up with his other partner for this event, the savage, the unpredictable, impetuous Panda. So for you two guys, looking at this previous matches, did it go the way you expected, or was it a little bit of a wild card for you?
It was pretty crazy for us, I think. There was a lot of surprises, especially, of course, commiserations to Shaggy, who definitely was plagued by some incredibly unfortunate draws, but that is not to take away from Tailbot, who showed a pretty dominating performance. What do you make of that?
I mean, Shaggy had a very interesting game plan with some decks, like how the carryover with the Harpies, for example, the Elementals, didn't work out. The Great Swords, the kind of the game plan didn't pan out as well, so the main thing is Shaggy didn't execute his game plan correctly, and that lost him the game.
Yeah, he turned up with very hypothetical decks, things like the Vesemir Mandrake. Awesome to see, but it didn't quite pay off for him now.
Yeah, you really have to give it to Shaggy for those just unusual strategies and unorthodox things that sometimes pay off, but at the end of the day, Tailbot just won it through victoriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great performance from Tailbot. So we're going to be taking a look at the bracket and the prize pool in just a moment as we get ready for the next matchup, which is going to be extremely exciting. But congratulations to Tailbot for guaranteeing his place in tomorrow's semi-final. But we have to an opponent, and that's what we're going to be doing next with the day's second match. What do you think of this upcoming one?
We're going to watch the bracket really quick just to see, how this tournament is going to pan out, not just today, but also tomorrow with the semifinals, like you said. And we're going to see bracket really quickly right now, just to see what's our next match and what's going to come up throughout the day as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be Adzukov, Poland's own player, going up against Kolomon from Germany. We're just having a little bit of an issue getting the bracket ready for you guys, but we'll be seeing it in just a moment, as well as the prize pool to see what Tailbot and Shaggy will be taking away from that previous game, because of course we use a match scoring system, which is a brilliant system that ensures nobody goes away empty-handed, which is fantastic. But of course the real prize is him securing his place tomorrow, so congratulations to him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're playing for a lot of money, not just the pride or kind of the fame for winning these matches and getting to the final maybe, but also quite a bit, big chunk of money that can mean, kind of change your life if it really impacts you that way. So I think Shaggy, maybe a little bit sad, but Tailbot definitely really confident.
Yeah, but Shaggy got a beautiful weekend in lovely Moshna Castle, and he gets a nice bit of money too. So what do you think about this upcoming one between Adzukov and Kolomon? We've got the bracket coming up just now for you.
Yeah, Adzukov and Kolomon, it's pretty much anyone's game. Adzukov obviously being the, a bit of a king of pro ladder at this point, invited to all of these tournaments just for his pro ladder performance. Will he be able to translate that into a tournament experience? I personally think so, yes.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested. This is such a fascinating matchup for me because to go into both players a little bit, we've got Adzikov and Colomon heading up next, but we got this is a really interesting one because we've got Adzikov, right? We've seen Adzikov at a multitude of tournaments. He's exited in the first round like multiple times, and that is going to make a significant impact on a player's mental confidence. However, he has maintained the fortitude to keep qualifying, to keep being here, and that is a huge, huge thing indeed. And he's going up against this absolute dark horse online qualifier superstar Colomon. So it's kind of like a known quantity, but who we know can do better, versus somebody who really we're seeing almost for the first time.
Yeah, Colomon is kind of the sleeper agent in the tournament. He's a surprise player. No one's seen him yet in actual LAN events. But I think he's a really good player, and we're going to be moving very quickly on to, just the videos of the players and just to see a bit more about them. But I think Colomon, people are going to get to know him in this tournament, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of him in the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be heading into the players getting ready. We're going to have Poland's Adzikov going up against Germany's Colomon.
Moen, winner of the online qualifier from Berlin, Germany, man of mystery who keeps his many secrets carefully hidden. If a specialist could take a look at his complicated personality, he'd probably find something between Darkwing Duck and Tywin Lannister.
I think it's going to be pretty powerful, and we're going to see full test from Adzikov as well, so the possibility of a mare there as well.
Yeah, very, very powerful pro ladder deck, that full test, utilizing those trebuchets to pretty devastating effect. But here we go into the first game. It is Eredin versus the Unseen Elder.
We draw it by Gilles, for example, but even then, you really want it in hand against Eredin.
Yeah, definitely. You need that contingency plan, because when you have 3 frosts on the board and then the riders start falling down, that is just so much damage. It just, you have to get out of that round as soon as possible. So Abaya will be a target draw for Colomon, I imagine. He will go fishing for that with things like Frightener and Gilles. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets it out. It could end up being very, very important in this matchup.
And Adzikov does go second in this particular matchup in game 1, which means that he has a lot more time to build up this very slow tempo build up of putting the frost on the board and getting that slow build.